All right, today we're going back to 2014 to an event that got a ton of media coverage but was often, well, completely mislabeled. We're talking about the massive celebrity photo leak, but we're going to look at it for what it actually was. Not some juicy scandal, but a serious, widespread cybercrime. And we have to start right here with this quote from Jennifer Lawrence, who was one of the most high profile victims. Her words, her reframing of this entire event, are absolutely key to understanding what really happened. This wasn't just gossip. It was, as she put it, a crime. So let's just lay out the facts first. What exactly went down in 2014 that kicked off this huge global debate? Okay, so at its most basic level, this was a robbery. A massive number of extremely private and personal photos were illegally taken and then posted online for the world to see on sites like 4chan. And the most important words here are stolen and without consent. And the sheer scale of this was just mind-boggling. We're talking about roughly 100 different celebrities who were targeted. This wasn't just one person's account getting hacked. It was a huge, coordinated attack on people like Jennifer Lawrence, Scarlett Johansson, Rihanna, and so many others. So how did they even do it? Well, this wasn't some lost phone situation. This was a targeted hacking operation. The criminals specifically went after personal, password-protected cloud accounts. Think Apple's iCloud. They broke into what was supposed to be a secure, private digital vault and stole what was inside. But the hack itself was just the first domino to fall. What came next was the public reaction, and it immediately turned into this really intense and pretty divided debate about privacy and who was to blame. And this right here really sums up the two completely different conversations that were happening at the same time. On one side, you had a lot of victim blaming. People asking, well, why would you even take those photos? Or shouldn't celebrities just expect this kind of thing? But on the other side, a much different argument was being made that the real story wasn't about the photos at all. It was about the crime. It was about a fundamental violation of privacy, and that the people responsible should be in prison. And then the whole conversation shifted, and it boiled down to this one question, which was actually a headline from an article in The Guardian. Suddenly, the focus wasn't just on the hackers or the victims. It was on us, on the public, on the millions of people who now had a choice to make. And this was the argument that started to take hold, that looking at these stolen photos wasn't some harmless neutral act. No, every single click, every view, it was like you were participating in the crime all over again. You are perpetuating the humiliation and becoming complicit in the violation yourself. This is the moment Jennifer Lawrence's voice just cut through all the noise. She completely rejected the idea that this was some kind of embarrassing scandal, and she took control of the narrative herself. I mean, listen to this. With this quote, she just so powerfully explains the human cost of it all. She's saying, look, this isn't about being a perfect celebrity. It's about being a human being, and having your most private moments stolen and used against you is absolutely terrifying. And she didn't mince words. She calls it a sexual violation, a sex crime. By using that language, she was refusing any label that even hinted she had done something wrong. She was defining the act for what it was, a criminal assault on her privacy and her body. And you know what? People started to listen. Outlets like The Guardian began to echo her, arguing that this kind of digital crime needs to be taken just as seriously as a physical crime. It causes profound harm, and it deserves the same kind of punishment. So, what's the legacy of all this? Well, the event left a permanent mark not just on the victims, but on how we all think about our lives online. This quote is from an interview she gave years later, and it's just heartbreaking. It shows that the damage from something like this isn't temporary. It leaves this lasting trauma, this constant fear and feeling of vulnerability, like it could just happen again at any moment. But beyond the deep personal cost, this whole thing became a real turning point. It forced us all to have a much needed and frankly very uncomfortable conversation about what privacy and consent even mean anymore, and maybe most importantly, what our own responsibilities are in this digital world. Which brings us to this idea of, well, responsible clicking. The point is, our online actions have real world consequences. When we click on something that's exploitative, we're not just observing, we're essentially pouring gasoline on the fire. Our clicks literally create a demand and shape the kind of world we live in. So choosing not to click, that becomes a powerful ethical act. It's a call to take responsibility. And that really leaves us with this final big question. It's easy to point the finger at the hacker, the person who committed the original crime. But what this event showed us is that the violation doesn't stop there. It gets bigger with every share, every view, every click. So it really makes you think, when someone's privacy is shattered like that, where does our own responsibility truly begin?